All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to this week's live webinar. So hang on while everybody gets logged in. Make sure my phone is on silent mode. We are live. We are recording, but we're waiting for everybody to sign up here. So let's see. We got a bunch already. Okay, good. Hey, Louie. How you doing, buddy? Let me go ahead and check the chat box and make everybody, let's see, all panelists and attendees. So now we can all see each other's messages. Hey, Shika, how you doing? Good to see you. I will check the attendee box and we will get started in just a second. Doug, good to see you, buddy. All right. Jim, good to see you. Jim Collins, Luann, Louis, right? Chris Latham, good to see you too. Hopefully things are going. I'm speaking with a couple of folks, Chris, out in the LA area, and it's just kind of interesting all the news we get from around the US and Canada and how things are different now, so much was alike. The cool thing is, guys, I don't know if you saw, there was a really good report that came out from Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins, of course, is famous for where they came up with the cure for I'm drawing a blank on it, where mosquitoes, malaria, the cure for malaria. So they're for generations, they've been, that's the sort of the, disease center for figuring out cures and stuff like that. In any case, they came out with a really interesting but factual and also good report today. Hey, Willie, Newman, good to see you guys. Shirley, good call today. Good to see you. In any case, so the Johns Hopkins message was, the most common thing you've always heard with all this, or been hearing with all this, is obviously wash our hands with good old-fashioned soap and water. Scrub for 20 seconds. The fatty cell around the fatty tissue around the cell breaks down, and the cell has no defense, and you wash it away with hot water. And it doesn't have to be blistering hot. Anything like this said 70, 80 degrees and hotter will work. And there were such simple things like don't shake your clothes. The cells will live on your clothing for a little bit of time, but just leave them there. They'll die. The cells will actually they'll disintegrate. They don't die. It's not a living thing. It will disintegrate. What's interesting, if you read between the lines, it's like we definitely should be going outside, getting fresh air and sunshine. Outside, inside the cell can obviously have places to go and stick to and all that, but outdoors can't stick to anything. Blows in the wind. So the moral of the story was, when we want to stay socially distant, but all indications are going outside is actually a good thing. So we just have to be careful how we do it. So I just thought that was interesting. So in any case, let's move on to brighter subjects because the world's moving on and so are we. And hope you all are healthy and safe and your families too. In the meantime, we got to keep plugging away and swinging the bat because you never know which pitch you're going to hit, right, guys? So that's why we stay active in things like this. So you can't sit back and have the wait and see attitude. You got to take action, and that's how you get results. I mean, if you ever read the book from the World War II, the doctor, he was in concentration camp. So you guys, when you turn 57 like me, you tend to forget things. But in any case, I wish I could remember that. Meaning of Life, Man's Meaning of Life, something like that. Awesome book. And the moral of the story was the reason he survived and the others did is they just had a sunny outlook. They weren't being unrealistic. What was happening was really happening, but they chose to choose a brighter outlook on life and the future, what was going to happen. So that's what I suggest. Be realistic about the day and look optimistically towards tomorrow. It'll be here before we know it. So in any case, Todor, good to see you, buddy. Well, it's been a while. Tanya, good to see you. Once again, we got a pretty full house here. Thank you, Shika. Yes, I'm safe and well. Because I crossed the border Friday before last, I'm required to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. So we just completed 10-day of the quarantine. So Friday night, we're gonna go get supplies to make our own pizza. We're not going to a pizza parlor, obviously. And we're gonna do some of our own shop. We've had to have the groceries brought to us from family members, and they leave it at the door and we go pick it up and all that. But we're fine. I mean, not a sniffle, eating good food, exercising, and working like maniacs, okay? I'm glad to do it too. So a couple of things here. We're gonna go over the letter campaign tonight, which is a great subject because last week we went over the booklet campaign. And every day I'm talking to people about doing the booklet, doing the booklet, doing the booklet. And guys, if you haven't done it yet, man, just do me one thing, do the booklet, okay? It works, particularly when you send it to your database with the type of scripting I gave you last week. Again, we just updated the checklist to have that scripting actually in there. So Beverly has that. We'll send that tomorrow. If it didn't go out last week's webinar, I can't remember if it did. We'll resend that. Actually, we do have to resend it because I've updated it. So we will give you the update tomorrow for the booklet checklist and also the letter checklist. Okay, and you'll get 2 forms of letters. I'm going to give you 2 letters tonight. One is the one you've already seen when I taught you in class, the small mom and pop letter. And I'm also going to give you the bigger version, which is what we use generally for bigger properties and properties are corporate owned and things like that. Okay, now let's see. The Meaning of Life. Oh, thank you, Louis. The Meaning of Life hardcover, March 1, 2001. Yeah, the one I'm talking about, Louis, maybe that's a newer version. The author is was a doctor, a psychologist, and in the concentration camp, they took his manuscript and unfortunately used it for other purposes, but he rebuilt the transcript in his mind over the years being in the concentration camp. And so maybe this was an updated version of that. But awesome book. It just goes to show you, you know, everything that we feel in life is our choice based on what's happening out there. So we can choose to be happy. So thanks for sharing that. Any case, oh, Viktor Frankl, thank you. Louis, you're much better than I remember these things. Yeah, it's riveted generations for years. I agree 100%. So back to this, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the sequence of steps to use the letter, and you definitely want to start doing this. I know that the theme last week was use your database and shake loose the tree, to shake loose the low-hanging fruit, okay? And instantly people, like within a day, you see the average response was about 5% on the booklet. And out of that group, maybe 10% of the respondents will be ready, willing, able buyers right now, sometimes sellers too. And the others you put on a nurturing campaign, okay? Those are the numbers, those are the stats we're seeing on that. And the only reason we're using this method now, as opposed to sending it out in the mail, is because I want to help you, again, use your database that you already have, get some low-hanging fruit, get some now transactions, but also some tomorrow transactions. Okay, that's the nurturing part of it, the nurturing campaign. And it's so vitally important because in your database, you've got transactions there. We just got to shake them loose. And we do that by doing something like offering something of value like the booklet, okay? Now, fast forward, the ones that say, yes, I'm ready, willing, able now, we've got to actually find them some inventory. And as you might imagine, sometimes the best inventory is not on the MLS, not on LoopNet, not on CoStar, okay? Or other listing services. Where's my, sorry, I had to find my water. So we have to create those opportunities. They're already there. We just have to identify them and create the opportunity in the seller's mind, the owner's mind. And that's what tonight is all about. So in order to be successful, and I've been saying this for probably a year now, is we saw the market tightening up last year. In other words, less and less inventory and fewer transactions. In order to operate in that type of an environment, we've got to create the transactions, okay? We can't go waiting for them to pop up. We have to take responsibility and create them. That's what we're going to do tonight, okay? So I'm going to show you how to use data, mostly public data, free data. Now, some of you, it's going to be easier than others. I know I'm looking at Louis and Chris right now, and I'll tell you in California and in Canada, it's more difficult to get the data. We have some wonderful systems, right? Louis has done a wonderful job of identifying a lot of them, the websites available for all of us Canadians, okay? In California, we have some tools sometimes we have to pay for, like Revo Gateway, okay? But for right now, let's just focus on what we can get for free, public data, and usually we get it from uscensus.gov or Stats Canada, okay? Or some local source of data that uses that broad public data, okay? And then we're also going to use other public data that you might deem sensitive, like court records, But believe it or not, many court records are deemed part of the public domain. I don't know why. I don't know why this is. I'm telling you, that's what they call it. So we have in the states what's called Freedom of Information Act, which means we have to make data available to the public that's deemed to be public data. Now, I can tell you, understand property tax records, why that will be deemed public data. It's because collectively, all of our property taxes we pay are used for the public to build roads and schools and things like that. So, i.e., they consider that public data. But how they consider court records public data, I don't know, they just do, but it makes our lives easier, the fact that they do that, okay? So in any case, first things first, let me go and grab the first thing, which is the checklist, and I will share that with you. So hang on just a moment, please. Share. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I almost forgot, guys. Just a wee bit of housekeeping. For those of you who are new, please make sure every day there's a webinar. The next day, look in your email from Beverly. She's going to give you a recording of the webinar course, okay? But also system updates, platform updates, things like that. You all notice that they've changed the platform for the learning management system, number one. Number two is we've restructured the learning material in the investor agent training program. It's no longer 5 modules, it's now 10. It's more in alignment with the other training programs. More modules, same data, broken down into smaller chunks. And there's a lot more supporting information, like additional short videos that describe precisely one specific subject or topic, okay? So there's hundreds of videos out there on the My Investment Services playlist, right? My Investment Services channel on YouTube. So go there and you can see all different playlists for different subjects. Investor agent being one of them, the rentals being another one, flipping and wholesaling and so forth. Okay, that's all out there, and we refer to that in your learning modules to give you that support data. Just an example of what's changed. Okay, also you get the webinar schedule coming up and different things like that. So in any case, so always do that, and please read that. I know it's long usually, but there's stuff in there that's meaningful and relevant. So now back to tonight. Okay, as with any marketing campaign, the first thing you want to do before you start doing any work is determine what your goals are. Okay, now this one's easy because if you've done the booklet campaign first, you know what your demand is. They're ready, willing, able. Now clients are going to say, well, I would like to buy a fourplex, or I'd like to flip a home, or whatever the case is. And then of course you have to interview them, screen them, and qualify them. That's part of that process. And by the way, that particular process, the screening and interviewing, is now in modules 5 and 6 in your investor agent learning platform. Okay, the flipping one is in chapter 5, module 5, I believe, and the rental one is in module 6. Same steps, just different, slightly different data you'll be looking at, but it shows you how to actually work with the clients, get them interviewed, screened, and qualified, and basically start building that relationship in a way that serves you and them both. What it does is, if you haven't done it yet, guys, for all the newer agents, it puts you in control, okay? It allows you to be the bus driver, right? And you get to determine who gets on the bus and what seat they get on. So when you're determining readiness, willingness, ability, the folks that are ready, willing, and able now, they go on the front seats of the bus. They're ready now. The ones who are ready or willing, but they're not able, you put further back because they're just not ready now. It's just a euphemism to describe how you manage that client relationship, and it puts you in control, okay? So back to this. It's easier to determine your goals with the checklist because you should already have demand. You know you need a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, or a property for flipping, whatever the case is, okay? So you determine that. Then you determine the type of property that you're looking for. So a goal might be you want to find 10 properties. The type of property might be fourplexes, okay? So again, this is going to be a little bit easier to understand. The execution, though, is going to take some effort here, okay? Now, next thing you want to do is grab the letter, okay, and make a copy of it. So if you look here, hang on one second. Let me share this, and you'll see one version of this letter. I'll give you the bigger one first, okay? So this is, believe it or not, this is actually the original version of the letter we use. lot longer, a lot more detailed, but we also use this to attract owners of bigger properties or corporate-owned properties. In this case, this was not a corporate-owned property. It wasn't owned by an LLC. It was owned by an individual, okay? And we would go, and I'm going to show you this in a minute, but we would go to all the public data to determine, find the properties we believe we know we can sell. We just want to see if they want to sell. And then we use public record to determine if they need to or want to sell. And then we send them these letters. So this is one version of the letter. This is on the website. It's on server level membership area. In fact, let me just go there real quick. Instead of just talking about it, I will show you. Now, I'm going to share this with you in just a second, guys. Just let me get there first. So hang on, please, just a moment. And I will do the screen share. Okay, so let me go and do the screen share now. So share screen. So you go into, real estate with Gary Wilson, click on members area. Come here, you got to click on, click here for logging in because you're a silver level member. All right, click on dashboard, then click on silver. And that will give you all of these tools. In this case, we're going to go to marketing, okay? And the letter I'm showing you now is actually this letter here, the mailer to apartment owners. That's where you find that letter that I was just showing to you. So let me go back there, do a reshare on that. Okay, hang on one second. And that's where this letter comes from, okay? So this one, again, it's a little bit wordier, a little bit longer, and it basically paints a bigger picture about why they should respond to us, okay? So in any case, that's one letter. Now the other letter, okay, is this one over here. I'll get to in a second. So let me share this one. And here it is. Now this is the one that most of you are used to seeing, okay? We call this the mom and pop letter. Now up here at the top, you don't put this up there. Everything where it says My Investment Services, Path to Prosperity, letter original, that all goes away. You delete all that. That's just the vendor putting their, letting you know what this is, I guess. The letter actually starts here, okay? Dear Clay. So as you can see, it's not very corporatized. In fact, it's very plain and simple, short and sweet. There's not a lot of fluff in there, none at all, in fact, okay? And then I'll even tell them who I am until down here, right? So kind of interesting. In any case, that's pretty much the template right there, okay? So we'll go back to these in a moment. First thing, though, I want to go back to the checklist. What I'm saying here is just basically download these letters. All right, let me do the share on the checklist. Hang on one second. All right. And then we're going to start using public data to determine where we want to go find the properties that we know we have buyers to buy, okay? So I'm going to spend the bulk of the webinar tonight showing you that, okay? So, sorry about that's my water just fell, so hang on just a second. Get the lid's on, so I'm good. All right, first thing I'm going to show you is this. We want to use, let's say for the sake of argument, we're going to find a rental property. Let's just, so we're not going to be looking for a flip right now. This came up earlier today from Jamila Tunu in Houston. She said, if we're looking for rentals, where do we start? Well, we actually start with Melissa data, which I'll show you in a second. Now, all of you have heard me and seen me go over the book report, which is normally what we do. We always do school report first for flippers. You can also use school report for rentals in one situation. If you or your client are renting out or looking to invest in single family homes that will be used as rentals, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, single family homes, you would still likely start with the school report. I'm not going to go over that tonight. You've all seen the school report. It's in your material. We've gone over it a number of times. What I'm getting at is this: people who are renting 3- and 4-bedroom single family homes, are probably interested in schools, maybe as much as the homeowners themselves, okay? Because if they're renting a 3 or 4 bedroom single family home, they probably have children and they're going to be interested in where their children go to school. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to be investing in single family homes to rent, or your clients are, yes, you would probably start with school report. You always use school report for starting with flips no matter what. I just want to clarify that. Now, let's assume we're going to be focused on duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes that have 1 or 2 bedrooms, okay? In that case, you can probably skip the school report altogether and start focusing on Melissa data. So let's go to Melissa data, right? Now, if any of you want to, in your chat box, type in a zip code. This is a US site, by the way. In Canada, we have a completely different version. But for the US students, if you have a zip code you want me to try, an area you think you might want to invest in, or your investors, just type one in there. Let's do Sheikah first. Oh, the Texans are, look at that. My gosh, that's 1, 2, 3 Texans in a row. And then Doug Carroll, you chimed in. So, and then Betty. Hey, Betty, how you doing? So let's type in 77056 and submit. And check this out. Okay. So if we look here, these are the carryouts. B for business, and we need a C. Here's some C. So by the way, if you notice, guys, let me do a screen share. Screen share here. There. So up top, I typed in the zip code here. I just hit submit, and this is what pops up. Okay. Now, B, I believe, is for business. Actually, no, I'm sorry, they got the PO box. Yeah, B is for PO box. I'm sorry. And C is the carrier routes. C is for carrier routes. So if we scroll down, we'll see we've got a number of carrier routes. These are C or city routes. C stands for city. All right. Now, what we're looking for, let's say, again, we're looking for rentals, and what we're looking for, they changed the headings on this. I don't see the headings. This is crazy. Okay. Well, here's what I'm getting at. I don't know why the headings aren't here, but this column right here, let me go down here, sorry. Go down to the PO boxes. Unless these are, here it is. Residential, business, apartment. We're looking for the apartment count. Okay, so this is the column we want. So we're going to scroll down. You'll notice here, so Sheikah, in your zip code, carrier route 6 has 1,118 apartments. Now here's why this is important. We know wherever we have more apartments, we have more rentals. So we would do our searching in this area, only this carrier route in only this zip code, okay? We can also see, by the way, how many people live here. We can see the average property value, and we can see the map view, and I'll show you that in a second. So if we go back up top, let's see, vacant, no deliveries, household income, property value route. They used to tell us how many people live there. Let me see if I can find that. Residential, business, PO box, unknown type, total deliveries, apartment, suite, vacant, and no deliveries, household income, property value. Okay, they used to tell us how many people live there. They don't do it now, but we do get to see how many are vacant. So if we go back down, I don't know how a PO box can be vacant, but apparently you can. So down here, we can see there's one vacancy that they can determine in all those apartments, right? And we can see the average unit value. That's not too bad. So what I'm getting at here, guys, is it's very simple. We want to look in areas that have the highest apartment count. Now, there's always exceptions. This is just a general rule. And again, the reason is we know wherever we have more apartments, we have more rentals. Now, we have to get more specific, which we will do in a minute, okay? But for right now, let's just assume we're going to focus in that area, right? But what's really cool is you click on the map button here, and I'm going to share this screen too. Actually, can one of you, Sheikah, would you mind typing in the chat box? Can you see the map view I'm showing you now? I just clicked the enter key and can't see your screen. Okay, let me do a share. Thank you, Shika. So we'll share that. I didn't know it because it's the same site. So you should now see this map view. All right. And look at it, it actually gives you, and you can expand this too, by the way. Okay. So I don't know if you know where this is. Actually, I'm sure you do, or you wouldn't have given me the zip code there. But look at this. This is probably looks like an apartment complex area. Post Oak Boulevard. I know exactly where that is. How about that? I've been there before. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff you can use. So if you're ever going to do a map view search, all you do is you go into your say MLS if you want to, and basically mimic or copy this. Okay, that's really all you're going to do. I'm going to expand out instead of zooming in and get a better idea. Whoops, hang on, I went too far. Yeah, how about that? San Felipe. Boy, these things all look familiar here. Houston Arboretum, North Nature Reserve. It looks like a pretty nice area, Shika. I like that. Okay. Well, let me check the chat box here real quick. We got some chats coming in. I see it. Okay, everybody can see it. It's near my office. So there you go. All right, good. Okay, now here's where this is important. I just told you we could draw in our MLS system a map view we can do with polygon to match this area or these areas, which is true. But what I want to show you coming up here is we can actually get far more specific, okay, and only send these letters to specific owners of units, properties in these specific carrier routes within the specific zip codes, okay? And I know it sounds very, very finite and very specific, and it is, and the reason is this. The more precise you can be, guys, you might want to write this down, the more targeted you can be, typically the higher the response rates. You can actually speak directly to these people. You know, you're not just sending out a broadcast letter. You're only sending a letter to specific owners of specific properties that we know we can sell because we have demand for. And furthermore, if they're more motivated based on some thing they're going through, like they're evicting tenants too many times or they're going through divorce, we know we got a better shot of getting that listing because they're thinking of selling, right? So in any case, I just want to show you that. Now, let me do this. Let me go back to the chat box real quick, and I'll do, so we did a, whoops, where's the chat box? There it is. So we did a Houston one. Let's see. Let's do Doug Campbell. Hey, Doug, 34,684. 34,684. So we got to go back. Hang on just one second. Is that it? No, 34,684. Let's go back to lookups. 34,684. Let me get that in before I forget. 34,684 and submit. Okay. So here you go, Palm Harbor. I love it. So look at that. You got a lot of city routes. You got some rural routes. Look at that, because you're kind of on the fringe there. And if you want to see something interesting, check this out. You've got apartments even in the rural areas. People don't even see. A lot of people will say, "Well, there's no apartments here. I'm out in the rural area," but I can tell you, almost everywhere I've been, guys, I've been able to find apartments and rentals. Okay, I even know farmers. We discovered this in so Bloomfield, Illinois. Anybody ever been to Bloomfield, Illinois? It's south of Chicago, north of St. Louis and all that, about maybe halfway, and it's farming area. Well, it turns out the farmers were buying duplexes to house the farm workers. Okay, sometimes they were even rebuilding duplexes or even converting single families into duplexes. So it really was an eye opener for us. But so let's take look at this carrier route 97. Doug has 58 vacancies according to the Postal Service. Average value is only 49 grand. That, boy, I'd be looking at that area pretty quickly. And you click on the map view. All right, so let me share this again. Sorry. And this is a really okay. There you go. These are all the properties in that area. Amazing. And I was just down there. My gosh, I missed it already. hanging out on the beach and having a jolly old time. And there's your main outline right there. And here's the cool thing about this, guys. All you have to do is zoom in. It gives you street names and everything. And I've been working with some students over the last year using mainly this tool and getting very specific on specific properties. It was, what was her name? Susan. She was in northern New Jersey. And we were able to pinpoint specific properties on this map. It was really, really neat. And in any case, she could do her routes on this, her driving routes. She went around, she would send the letters, go visit the people in person, just did a wonderful job of following up and got a lot of listings as a result. Okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and move on. We'll move forward here. We now know the areas we want to be in. We know where we have the most apartments, so we know we have the greater chance of finding the rentals there. But we don't want to just stop there. We want to look and see if any of these properties have tenants that are being evicted or something like that's going on, or divorce cases with the owners. We look for a number of things that will help us determine who we might want to focus and target. And the way we do that is using public data, okay? So this is an example of public data, all right? I'm not gonna go through all the login process because where you are, just write this down, okay? And this is true with any area in every state, and even the Canadian provinces. Canada, you actually have to go in. You actually have to go in person. You have to know case numbers or names or something like that. But there are tools you can use. You can pay for services to get the data for you. So Chris, same thing out in California. Rebo Gateway does this for you for about $30 a month. LA County, some of the counties are kind of tough. Some are easy. I mean, we've been able to find data up in the Central Valley, just like we would find data that's easy in Florida. So all the Floridians, you're lucky because it's much easier for you to find data there in Florida. But what I'm getting at, Chris, is some counties are quite difficult. In LA and in California, we have to use Rebo Gateway again, or Remine. Remine is an awesome tool also. But depending on where you are, if you go up to like the Palmdale and up, where else do we find information? I think Oxnard, I think, was very easy, but really the Central Valley was the easiest. But in any case, back to this. Assuming you've logged into your public records or court records, it's usually free for just looking. If you want specific case data, you generally have to pay for it. And you don't even have to be an attorney. You just have to pay the fee, have an account, and they'll let you have the data that way. Okay, but this, thank goodness, is pretty much all free. So what I did is I just decided to look in the last month at the arbitration level. So generally the court type, you got to select what type of court you're in. And I went into civil, so this is all civil. And I can see court records, criminal division. Arbitration is where most landlord tenant cases go when they get appealed. So I'm looking there. I'm going to do that on the example. You have family division, so you can look at divorce cases. You can look at tax lien. If people that are behind they have a federal tax lien on the property, guys like to have those. Let's see, mortgage foreclosure, you can look at those. Treasury sales, okay, you can look at those. And that's pretty much it. So we were looking at arbitration now. And what we're looking for, I think this was Brenda was looking at this the other day, and she wasn't sure what is the key to identify landlord tenant cases. Well, here it's always LT for landlord tenant. And sometimes, and by the way, guys, you might want to write this down. If it's not readily available, there's no key that tells you what do these codes mean. By the way, you can hear all this says is LT means landlord tenant, AR means arbitration, 20 means this year, 2020, and this is the date, okay? This is the date, I'm sorry, please forgive me. That's actually the case number, all right? So that number is not the date. This is the 263rd landlord tenant case for this area for this year so far. Okay, so they've been busy. Well, let's just pull this up and see what we got. Okay, so we click on the case number. Oh, I must have already logged out. Hang on just 1 second. I started this before we started the session, so hang on just 1 second. I'm going to do search on cases. case search. Then I'm going to search by search case by filing date. Okay, I'll do a date range. Let's do a date range. Let's do February 24th to March, sorry, to today, March 30th. Okay, that's my, I'm going to apply that by the 1 month, and I'm going to click on again arbitration and hit search. That's all I did. Date range search. I always select arbitration, the arbitration level, and within there you get all the different cases. And you can see there's bunches of them. Okay, so we'll just kind of scroll forward. Here's one. Here's a landlord tenant case. Let's click on that. Case number 283. All right. And if we scroll down, we get the plaintiff. Okay. So Corey Robinson and Alyssa Lohr are suing NZ Yang. Okay. NZ Yang is the defendant. I'm assuming NZ Yang is the owner of the property because he's got a P.O. box for a mailing address. And these two folks are probably tenants living at 1219 Stock Street, Pittsburgh, PA. So now what I'm going to do is I want to take you to the tax assessor database, and we're going to look this property up. So hang on just 1 second. Let me get that going. All right. 1219 Stock Street. You guys help me remember that. Somebody remember 1219, somebody remember Stock Street, and I'll remember Pittsburgh. So we're going to go to the county tax assessor database, right? And log in county, is that, here it is. Go into the tax assessor database. So what we say that was that 1219? Let me go back here, hang on 1 second, guys. Oops. There's 1219 Stock Street. So let me go back here. I type in stock, S-T-O-C-K, all right? So when house number, street name, and leave everything else alone, we're going to hit the search key. I'm not going to put a municipality because I know it's in Pittsburgh. Well, check it out. Lo and behold, owner is NZ Yang. He owns 1219 Stock Street. 1219 Stock Street is a mobile home, and it's valued about 60 grand. Okay. And what's interesting, remember in the court record it had a P.O. box? Well, look for, oh, sorry, let me do share screen. Share screen, come on, computer. All right. So this is the county tax assessor's record on the property. All right. We plugged in the property address that we got from the court records. All right. We verified the owner is in fact NZ Yang. All right. So he owns the property, it's a mobile home. But now what's really cool about this, we get the owner's mailing address and we can see the actual address, 1234 Lakemont Drive. We don't get a P.O. box. Remember in the court record, let me go back there. Okay, so here's the court record. Let me share that. Okay. I know I'm giving you a lot here, guys. I'm going to review this before we're done, go through the steps, okay? The main thing is we can see in the court record, Corey and Alyssa are the plaintiffs. They're suing NZ, the landlord. Maybe the guy's letting the place get run down, who knows? But I'm willing to bet you Mr. NZ Yang might be really interested in wanting to sell if his tenants are suing him. Now, between you and me, I wouldn't buy a mobile home like that. We don't invest in mobile homes. What we invest in is the mobile home parks, okay? We own the land and everything else underneath it. But we have the owners of the trailers pay us rent. And if they want to lease it out, that's fine. We allow them to do that. But in any case, back to this. We wouldn't send a letter, the letter I'm showing you, to P.O. Box 15204. We would send it to, let me go back and reshare the tax assessor's record. We would send a letter to this address. We know he's going to get the letter. We know this is his legitimate address. And we also know he's being sued. So let me just open up the floor here for some Q&A. Oops, hang on 1 second. Chat box, okay. Let's see, it's near my office. Okay, that was Shika, Chris. Thanks, Chris, for helping me remember that. Let's see, Louis says, I emailed you the revised Canadian data sources and an Excel document to plan yearly goals. Maybe you want to share these with your students. You know what, I remember getting that, Louis, and we do have that. I think we put the Canadian sources on the website. Let me do this, Louis, and then I'll go to the website and make sure they're on there, okay? So Jamila's asking, so Jamila, I'm so glad you're on here. So how do we tie the Melissa data area to the court records? How do we know what to look up in the court website? Jamila, I'm so glad you said that because I didn't say this explicitly. So if we go back to Melissa data, all right, so let me do a screen share on this. Let me go back. All right, screen share Melissa data. Melissa, Jamila, I was getting ready to call you Melissa. So Jamila, we know that in zip code 34684, if we scroll down, we have apartments, 870 apartments in that zip code, in this carrier out within the zip code, okay? So now, if we know that's where most of the apartments are, which means there's more rentals, and we can confirm that, when we go to the court records, let me go back there and share that. This is going to really tie all this together. This was an excellent question. When here, we get the zip code for the property. The property is being rented, okay? That's what we want. We want that zip code to determine if there's any cases in that zip code. In this case, we'll be looking, and you have to go through. I wish I could tell there was like a really whiz-bang fast way to do this. And there is, which I'll show you in a minute. But if we go back here to this screen, this was the prior screen, Jamila, hang on just 1 second. So this is all the list of all the court records, right? We don't get zip code here. So you have to click on these individually and look on the zip codes that match your Melissa data. Now, if you want to take a shortcut, a lot of students do this, guys. They just simply go to the court records, okay? And look and see where the court cases are first, and then they go to Melissa data and see what those zip codes look like. You can definitely do that. Depending on the circumstances, that may be a faster route. Now, here's an alternative, okay? You can actually pay services to do this work for you. I just want you to learn to do it first yourself. Not just to save the $30 a month, but I want you to understand the data that's out there and how to use it. And then when you go to pay for services, you'll know what to expect and you know how to use the data. And they'll know you know what to expect because you're going to speak the language. You'll be able to tell them, well, I need records, LT case records in zip code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? In other words, because you've done your work. On the other hand, you can do this yourself, and it's more of a, it'll work. You can use a letter and just send it to the people based on court records. But if you don't look at the area, you don't do the validation, for example, you might be finding yourself operating in an area that you might want to operate in, okay? And I'm going to show you that also in a moment here. In fact, let me just go ahead and show you that, the next piece. So we've used Melissa data to see what zip codes make the most sense and which carrier routes in the zip codes. Then we use court records to determine, you know, who's evicting, who's being sued, who's going through divorce, all that kind of stuff. And we send the letters to those people within the zip codes that make the most sense. That's the first 2 steps. The third step is we're going to validate everything, and here's how we do it. Let me share this screen. All right, we use planning commission data to do that. All right, we use planning commission data to do that. Now, I didn't get to show you the home. Let me just go back and show you the home screen here. So this is an example of a planning commission. It's a regional planning commission. All right, and all you do is you do this, guys. Actually, do me a favor. Jamila, can you please type in your chat box? Can you just say yes or no? Can you see my screen that says plan, collaborate, grow? And there's a picture of a bridge there. If you can't, just let me know and I'll know to do a screen share. Oh, you can see it. Awesome. Okay. So here's what I'm getting at. You want to look for something like this, resources and tools. They all look different, guys. I wish I could tell you they all look the same, but they don't. They pretty much look a lot different. but you're looking for something like resources, tools, data, neighborhood data, and you scroll down and look for something like this, data center. It's telling us right there, this is where all the data is housed. So I click on that, and that's what brings me to this next screen, okay? And in here, okay, let me share this so you can see this, all right? They made it easy for me because right here it says Census Profiles. So I click on that drop down and I can select the city, I can select the different counties, I can select the actual region, I can select the state. I'm sorry, this is the city. No, this is the metro, the meaningful statistical area. This is the Pittsburgh metro area. That's the region. And these are the counties. That's the state. And then up here, this is the actual city itself. So I've actually pulled those up. So let me go to pull this one up. This is the city, and I'll share that with you. Okay. Now this is the validation step. So before we go send a letter out and go drum up these listings, we want to first determine what properties we need. We go and find areas with those types of properties. Then we look for the people that need to or want to sell based on court records, i.e. public records, okay? And then we do this step to validate that this in fact is where we want to buy our rentals, or our clients, help them buy rentals. And this is just one page. I mean, this is just page after page after page of data on this area, right? And it all comes from uscensus.gov, or in the case of Canada, Stats Canada. Now, I always like to use the example of age because it's the one great equalizer. At the end of the day, when our bodies give out, it's the great equalizer. We all, earth to us, or ashes to ashes, and dust to dust, right? In any case, all pundits aside, the reality is we can see by age bracket how many people live in this area. And this example hasn't changed for 2 decades. I've been using this for decades. In this area, the largest segment of the population still happens to be to 50, 54 years old. But I'm also looking for other data. I want to know over here, total people 18 plus. In other words, 83% of the people in this area are over 18 years old. That's a lot of potential renters. So I probably want to look in this area for buying rentals, right? Over 21 is 75%. Over 62, though, is only 16%. So what this tells me is, under the age of 60, right, or say 55 and below, between 21 and 55, I've got most of my population, which kind of makes sense. It sounds typical, unless you're like in Marco Island, Florida, and everybody's the average age of 68. Okay. What I know is this area's got a lot of people in that magical age where I've got a lot of people wanting to rent. Okay. Now what's really cool is I can see housing data. So let's see if we can go find some housing data. Populations, let's see here, household type, and here it is, lo and behold, right smack on the second or third page. So I can see of all the occupied housing units, how many are owner occupied and how many are renter occupied. And check this out. I can see just slightly less than half are owner occupied and just slightly more than half are tenant occupied. Well, whenever I see numbers like this, I'm definitely going to be buying rentals in that area. And here's why. And I want you to please write this down. When you're looking for rentals, there's a couple of ratios I want you to remember. One of them is the percentage of renters. So that percentage here says 52.4. My rule of thumb, this is just my opinion, it's been my rule of thumb for over 30 years, is wherever I have the percentage of renters, somewhere between 33% and 66%, I generally got to put a good area to buy rentals in, okay? In other words, that middle bracket, that percentage of renters is between 1/3 and 2/3 renters. The percentage of occupants is between 1/3 and 2/3 renters. Now what that means is, if the percentage of renters was only 25%, would I not buy rentals there? Probably not, but I would still look further maybe. But if it's 25% renters, that means it's 75% owners. And generally speaking, wherever you have an area that's 75% owners, well, let's say in the case of my rule, greater than 2/3 owner occupancy, in other words, more than 67% of more of the properties are lived in by the owners, that means it's a strong ownership area. And I would probably flip homes there, okay? So this is what I'm talking, this is the practical application of what I'm describing here. Now, let's go back and the other way. Let's say it's greater than 2/3 renters. Let's say it's like 85% renters. Would I necessarily buy there? Generally speaking, the answer is no, because there's too many renters. However, there are exceptions. For example, so Chris, you're out in LA. I know, for example, in Beverly Hills, 82% of the residents rent in Beverly Hills. It's one of the highest priced areas in the country, and yet most people rent. Okay, and you might think in the higher priced areas nobody rents because you couldn't afford it. Everybody owns, but that's not necessarily true. So that will be an exception area. Another obvious exception area for all of us would be whenever you can buy rentals around hospital systems and university systems and colleges, and if you got smaller 1 and 2 bedroom units around shopping, transportation, things like that, I would break my own rule and I would buy rentals in those areas, because I know from experience also, not just me, but the data proves this out, that those areas, the ones around hospital systems, university systems, and believe it or not, military bases, top 3 are the most stable areas. Now, military bases, I wouldn't buy there if there was only a military base. But if there was a military base and a hospital and a university, I would probably buy there. I'm not against military. Believe me, I'm come from a military family. But the reason is if you have a large deployment and all those sailors or all those guys in the Army are going overseas, that large deployment is going to hurt that town. Okay, so, but colleges, universities, and hospitals never ran a business. Hospitals always had plenty of business. Universities, in a recession, usually the enrollment rate goes up. It's crazy, but you always have a steady flow of business here. Okay, so those are the exceptions. I just wanted to go back to the original statistic here of my 1/3, 2/3 rule and explain why I had that rule. Okay, now I probably just generated a bunch of chats, so let me just look and see. Actually, looks like we're caught up. Well, that's amazing. Let's see. Our broker told us you can't purchase off market properties or do single family home wholesale because we are licensed agents. How do I get around that? You can't purchase off market properties. Who do it? I don't, Chris, I never heard that before. I mean, I've been a broker, I've been an agent for a broker for 18 years, and we absolutely purchase off-market properties. You have to disclose. You got to disclose that you're a realtor, right? I don't know if that's that particular broker's rule, but that definitely does not make sense. And it's if you look at the law, landlord tenant law, go to the California, go to CAR, and they'll give you the specific instructions if you want to sell your own home and not put it on the MLS. You can do that. You just have to disclose that. Okay. I think what your broker may be concerned about is collecting a commission on that sale. So I want to clarify that. So Chris, when we sell and buy off-market properties, we still collect commissions. Just because it's not on the MLS or LoopNet or CoStar doesn't mean we don't collect commissions. If I'm selling somebody else's property off market, I would still do an agreement with them to collect the commission. Absolutely. And that may be more of what their concern is. As far as wholesaling, I know a lot of brokerages do say they have their own protocol that prohibits agents from wholesaling. And I would agree, in my office, we don't advocate agents doing their own wholesaling. Now, let me clarify that a little bit. If you're an agent and you want to, I would not wholesale yourself. I would just use your license to earn commissions, okay? However, there is a way to do it. And we've run this by one of the KW attorneys up in New York State. And she said, yeah, that's the way you can do it. That different class altogether. But what we talked about more specifically was our agents who are working with wholesalers. And we've got wholesalers all over the planet. So if you talk to Arthur Khan, he's not in your market center, Chris. Just Google him, KW agent out there, and he's making a whole business out of working with wholesalers. You can definitely do that. You can't collect the commission from a wholesaler, but what you do, Chris, is you tell the wholesaler look, I'm going to find you the inventory. You're still going to wholesale, but I'm going to find you the inventory. I, the agent, am going to get that listed, right? So you, Chris, collect a listing commission. The wholesaler gets it under contract. They assign the contract to the end user buyer for an assignment fee. The buyer buys the property, and if you're really good, you get that buy side commission too. So you get the listing commission, buyer commission, and you can collect a marketing fee from a wholesaler. You can't collect anything else. You can never collect the commission from any wholesaler because they never own the property. You can only collect commissions from people who are buying and selling real estate, okay? That they own. So somebody owns it, they're going to sell it, the buyer owns it. You can collect commissions from only the people who own the properties. So wholesaler, you would collect a wholesale fee. Now, having said all that, it's a bigger pain in the butt, and Athler will tell you, it is a big pain in the butt. That's why I would rather just work with the people actually buying the properties directly. But in any case, I'll be glad to talk to the broker. It may be something that's their own office rules and regulations. That's probably what it is. But I would let them know that with investors, you're going to get off-market deals, and you still do collect commissions because that's probably their concern there. So great question, by the way. Let's see, Jamila. Okay, Jamila is saying, I know I am being technical. This commission info is very broad and does not give you a good look at the zip code identified in Melissa data. How do I use this to validate small area like mailing route? Well, let me go back to the Melissa data. In there, there was an arbor. Oh, I'm sorry, one more question. This is from Jim. Hey, Jim. In addition to landlord tenant, do we go for those in arbitration? You definitely can, Jim. So in other words, there's other, Jim, let me go back there first and I'll go back to the Melissa data. So back to the court cases. Here, let me share this. Share. Okay. So Jim, you look here, see that we're in arbitration level, right? Now, what I could do is I could click here instead of saying arbitration, I could say family division, and I would click there. Okay. And when here, FD means family divorce. So we could click on that. We see Moore versus Jackson. Okay. I don't know if they still show us the divorce data or not. All right, check this out. They're only showing us the city, state, and zip code. Plaintiff, Latasha Moore, Jason, Deanna Jason, and Latacia Moore. Well, it looked like, so they're definitely, somebody's divorcing somebody. Okay, here's more data down here. Let's see, temporary PFA folder. Okay, we don't need to see that. Address. Yeah, there, let me go back up here. Hang on one second. Sometimes some areas are more sensitive with some data than others, but in this case, let's just go back. Maybe that was just that one case. What I'm getting at is, Chris, I'm sorry, Jim, you can get, you can go back to, let me get out of here. And where I clicked on family division or arbitration, I can also go to mortgage foreclosure, click on that, okay? And you can see Santander Bank is filing for foreclosure against Moore. Oh, let me do screen share, sorry. So screen share, share that. We'll click on the case here. And you definitely get the street address there, all right? So Robert Moore lives at 1889 Riggs Road South. You know he's going through a foreclosure. You can approach them directly, Jim. Now, having said that, you can determine who's going in the foreclosure earlier than that. So, Jim, you can also get what's called NOD, notices of default. They're actually published. Usually it's the third Sunday of every month in most big cities and counties. They publish the people who've received notices of default. And you can, you get everything on there. It's just crazy because they consider public information. And you can go approach them and see if you can bail them out. So yes, you don't have to just go for the landlord tenant cases. You can go for anybody going through probate. There's a whole different section of courts for probate, divorce, which is family, civil, which is going to be landlord tenant. Again, bankruptcy, foreclosure. Bankruptcy will be a different division. I just showed you foreclosure, and so forth and so on. So let's go back to Jamila's question. So Melissa data carrier out. Okay, what I'm trying to figure out, Melissa, is the here. So use 5 digits of zip code, enter the 5 digits of zip code, display the zip code boundary, the carrier route centroids. Carrier route data is updated on 2020-03. So what I'm trying to figure out is we got the zip code. Is what is the 4-digit extension, and I don't see that here. I don't know where we get that, but that's something you can use. But in these carrier routes, the main thing here is we know in the zip code, Jamila, that we have areas like this, 692 apartments, 870 apartments, things like that. If we want to use this specific piece here, we would, and if we want to look at properties on the listing services, we would grab the map view. All right, this was the specific use of this. Grab the map view and only search in these areas. We could do it. We literally could do mimic this area, Jamila. Just basically do the outline, then go to your MLS system and draw the polygon to match that area. So let me expand it. So we would draw a polygon to match this area. Okay, that's actually a college. Check that out. Well, I guess there you go. You got student housing there. So that makes sense. Now, knowing that, what we would do is when we go to court records, we definitely want to be in the right zip code. Jamila, we want to match the zip code at a minimum. But as far as getting like in this specific area here, I don't know that we can do that in the going in the public records. I don't think we can get, because the public records only have the 5-digit zip code. The point is this, though, is within that area, we know we got people who have rentals, like around this college campus here. And when we go to get the public records, chances are the majority of them will be in this area, because we look in the other areas, they're not showing up. They're not highlighted. Does that make sense? So while the zip code could be this whole big area, right? We know all the apartments are over here. So by the way, there's no perfect, nothing's ever perfect. None of this marketing is ever perfect. What it does is it dramatically improves your odds of success. That's why we do all the research and all data, gather all the data, okay? Now, again, if you want to use the map precisely, then when you would use that to do a map view search in your MLS and your listing services like LoopNet and CoStar and MLS. So that is some specific use there is you can do map view searches. But generally speaking, when we are doing mailings, it's because we don't want properties on the MLS. We want to create our own inventory. We want to create our own listings by going under the radar screen. So we use the court records to do that. Okay, and then like we said earlier, Joe, like then what you would do then is you would go backwards. You would use the court records first, okay, and then get the zip codes for the court cases. Then go back into Melissa data, pull up the zip code there, right, and see if there's a lot of apartments in the area, to see if it's an area where we should buy rentals. So let's do that. Let's do that exercise. We'll go backwards. So we got the court case. Actually, let me go back here. Allegheny County zip code was 15207. All right, let me just show this to you here. I'll show this to you here. So zip code is 15207. This is the zip code of the house where this owner is being sued. All right, it's a landlord. We know it's being rented. Then we go back to Melissa data. We're going to plug in 15207. So let me go back here. So Jamila, this might be a better answer to your question. 15207. 15207. Submit. Okay. And let's see, we passed the PO boxes, and you can see clearly there's not a lot of carrier routes here, but absolutely there's 1, 2, 3, 4 zip codes that have triple-digit apartments. So I'm pretty sure, and all of them have apartments. Every carrier route in this zip code has apartments. I'm pretty sure this is an area we should be looking in. And look at all these vacancies. Okay, check that out. So generally, to answer your question, 2 parts. if we want to get more precise and more specific, we would first use the court records, go back into Melissa data to confirm that yes, there's carrier routes that have lots of apartments there, right? That's part A. Part B is if you just want to use the Melissa data, carrier route, and look and see what's already out there, you can clone the outline by doing a polygon on the listing services and only look for properties already listed there. It's just, I would rather just go create the opportunities for myself. That's one thing I was trying to emphasize there, is I would rather get my own listings and provide those to my client. So Chris, back to your question is, as a broker myself, I would definitely encourage you to list every property, right, on the listing services. Yes, there will be some clients who definitely want just out-of-pocket deals, and I get it because I'm an investor too. But I'm a broker too, and I will tell you, me and every broker on the planet will probably tell you, get the properties, get them under contract, but make sure you can convince the owner to put it on the listing services so it is technically listed. Remember, Chris, just because something isn't on the MLS or LoopNet or CoStar doesn't mean you don't have a listing agreement with it, okay? True out-of-pocket is, it's like no agency is involved. I think that's what your broker's worried about. But the fact is you can do out-of-pocket listings. That's why we call them out-of-pocket listings. You just don't have to put them on the MLS. Some boards, now let me qualify this, Chris. Some boards will require you to, if you use their forms, you have to put it on their MLS system. But owners sometimes will say, I don't care, I don't want this thing on the MLS system, and that would be considered an override. The owner has the ultimate say-so. That's their property, right? So in any case, we've seen that happen before too. All right, so this is Shika. If the area has a lot of apartment complexes, isn't it a disadvantage to buy a home or rentals in that area? Yeah. So Shika, good comment. So here in these numbers, we don't know what makes these up. The Postal Service doesn't tell us that. What we know is this is made up of homes that have converted attics and garages and basements that are apartments. It has duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. It has buildings with 90 units in it. We just don't know. But when we look at the map view, all right, so let's pull up this map view here. Okay, we'll do that. And we can see this is a highly concentrated area. Like I can see here, this is not an apartment complex. This is probably some row houses and things like that. But maybe I can find a complex somewhere. This might be an apartment complex here. So Shika, we can determine that pretty closely by looking at the map views, right? But I would definitely buy rentals here. I'm just looking at this map view, and I can tell you by the spacing, I would probably get some apartments here. Here's a complex here. See, that's definitely a complex, right? Next to a middle school, by the way. It's pretty cool. But over here, these are just small little individual places, okay? I mean, this entire layout, this is a school here. It's interesting. But these are probably just people's homes and small things like that. So, okay, let me go back to the chat box here. All right, let's see, Jamila. Okay, Jamila, I was referring to validating the small area from list of data in the Planning Commission website. The census data give the entire city. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Jamila. In most Planning Commission websites, I generally start at the county level. This is what I generally do. The reason is they usually have the most data, but you have to drill down. You got to go county, and within county, maybe zip code or perhaps city or town. And then within there, you get the individual what's called census tracts. So a census tract is essentially the same as like an MLS area. For the most part, it's close enough. And also a carrier route. They're very, very close, very similar. Not an exact match, but I apologize. That was, hopefully everything I said earlier makes sense to you because that is legit. But this case here, you would have to drill down and go into specific individual census tracts, and they'll give you, usually they call it a neighborhood. Like, what would be a neighborhood in, let's see, in Houston. Houston's so big, my gosh, it's the 4th largest MSA in the country, but you know what I'm talking about? They have names, neighborhood names. Generally speaking, those are census tracts, okay? So that's the answer there. In any case, guys, that's pretty much it. Let me go back to the checklist. And once you determine all this, you send a letter out. It's always a 12-step process, okay? Always a 12-step process. And now when they respond to you, you don't have to keep mailing them. You've already got the prospect now, all right? You get the listing appointment next. Then you go to chapters 5 and 6 to use the screening method there, all right? And you step into realtor mode and get yourself a listing. And always follow up. Whenever you get a listing, always follow up and make that person a long-term prospect for you. Put them on a drip campaign, which is now also in this checklist, okay? This is how you put people on a drip campaign, all right? Multiple steps there, and make them a forever client. That's really the process. That's pretty much it. And this is how you can, combine your efforts and get more than one commission per deal. Okay, well, listen, guys, thank you very much for participating tonight. Let me double check and see next week what we're doing here. So next week's webinar is on the 7th, which is Tuesday. Let me see if you've already given me a subject to cover. We said, I think we said we would do the workshop next week. Not that you would do a workshop now. That's not a good time to do a workshop now. But we believe that by June, you should be able to have workshops again. So we know that if you start preparing a month or two in advance, you'll have a pretty good workshop. And all these letters you're sending and all these booklets you're sending, those are the folks you're going to be inviting to your workshop, okay? But if you want to discuss something else next week, guys, just let me know. We've got to still go over Facebook marketing in the month of April. We're going to do that. We got to go over LinkedIn. Let me see what else we got here. Hang on one second. So Facebook, LinkedIn. Let's do the 15th and the 22nd. See what they look like. So the 15th and 22nd. I didn't plot those in, but pretty much that takes us to the end of April. So far this year we did the bus tour, booklet, letter, getting on television. Let's see, what else did we do? Working with banks, we did that. Let's see what else. We've also got to go over using multiple social media sources at the same time. We got to do that one. Seems like there's one more I'm thinking of. I can't think of what it is. But in any case, we did podcast. We did that one. No, did we? Yeah, we did do podcast. We did that one. So in any case, there's a number of marketing campaigns you can do right now. I just want you to stay focused on these we just did last week and this week. For right now, just get the booklet out. So Jamila, if you haven't sent the booklet to your database, please go ahead and do that. Okay, we got to get some results coming so we can look and measure those results. In the meantime, guys, just remember, you're the ones who are going to get results because you are taking action. I turn off the TV. I know there's lots of negative news out there, and it may be true. It's just not helping you take action and get results. Okay, I can tell you from this is my 5th recession, and I learned my lesson on the 3rd one, which is I went out there and bought lots of properties. But the 4th one, the last one, is when I really ramped up the brokerage business. And I mean, we were literally. I was on a call today with a lady named Tanika from Pittsburgh, and it was just we just had the model with working with investors already in place. We just maximized the profit potential by focusing only on the investors. That's what we did, and I want to make sure you guys are in position to do the same thing. And it all starts right now. So in any case, I hope you liked tonight's webinar. We went over a lot of stuff, and quite frankly, there was a lot of data sources there. So I know it was a lot to cover, guys, but I appreciate you participating. Betty, thank you too. I appreciate you participating. God bless you and your families. And again, we'll see you next week on April 7th. Guys, remember, you can always set up strategy calls with me if you need help with something. Don't wait. Just and if something really urgent, just shoot me a text message. Okay, if you're negotiating and you're stuck, just shoot me a text message. I am teaching remotely now for the time being, which makes it easier for me to take more calls. So let's keep working together. I'm glad to be working with you, and I look forward to helping you get the next check coming in. Take care and God bless, and we will see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.